Tragedy Averted. This is the January 2022 channel shop update for WB Fun Woodworking. That story and more coming up. Hi there and welcome to WB Fun Woodworking. I'm Don. This is sort of a shop update and information about the channel. Some things have changed about the channel and I'd like to cover those in this update. And tell you a little bit about the tragedy that I averted, or actually a couple of tragedies I averted just recently here in the shop. There are some videos that are out. YouTube has really been pushing their shorts lately, so I decided to give those a try. Since they use the same format over on Instagram, I decided to post them there as well. You may have seen some of them already. I'll give this a try and see if it's worth the effort. So hopefully you've seen those. Yes, I'm alive and well, but I've been busy with a lot of other things. Unfortunately, my lathe and my grinding station are still on my assembly table. I'd hoped to have them on my lathe cabinet by now, but life just got in the way and I didn't get it done before I started doing some turning just before Christmas. I had some Christmas presents. I'll show you those a little later. What I did is I moved the grinding station down here to the end, and this is the way it's going to be set up on my lathe cart. I worked it out and this works out really great. I can turn on the lathe and just come right around the corner and sharpen my tool. So I have it all set up. In fact, there's a video coming on the setup of this and how I did that and how I'm going to attach it to the lathe station. I've mentioned before that I bought the Ashley Harwood series from the Wood Whisperer on turning spindles. Now she promotes the 40-40 grind. It's something that I couldn't do on my Wolverine jig, but Ron Brown came up with a template that I can put in my Wolverine jig and use on my grinder. Now this will help me get close to, if not exactly, to the 40-40 grind. So that's something that I picked up. It came with a set of instructions from Ron Brown on how to use it, but there's also a video on his channel on YouTube. I did have these two templates for my Wolverine system. They're very similar to the 40-40 one. This one's called number 1 and this one's called number 2, and they allow me to do different grinds on the Wolverine system. Using the new one for Ron Brown will be fairly easy. I strongly suggest that you always wear a face shield when you're turning at the lathe and also at the grinder. So this is something I have a video on coming up on why I have this one and why I'm using this one and which one not to get. I'd like to thank all of you that have been watching my videos and subscribing to my channel while I've been absent for a while. I'd especially like to thank those of you that supported the Woodworking News. That's a fun program. I do plan to bring it back, but not nearly as often as I did there for a while. I started that partially because I couldn't be out in the shop for over a month. I had cataract surgery on one of my eyes, and one of the things that they tell you with the cataract surgery is don't do anything that you might get something like sawdust or a chip or something like that in your eye. So I had to be absent and out of the shop for at least a month. And once I got into the Woodworking News, I thought I'd experiment with it a little bit. So I do plan to bring that back. As most of you know, this sign right here, Slow Man at Work, was one that Pam bought me. She thought it fit really well. Well, the other day we were at Hobby Lobby and she decided to get this one over here. Yes, I admit that sometimes I just don't get things done like I should around here, but that's just the way life is for a retired person. I rarely know what day it is or what time during the day it is. I just go by whatever I want to do. That makes life a lot more fun. I mentioned earlier that I averted 2 tragedies out in the shop. Actually, one was at the computer, and I'll talk about that a little later. But out here, I was turning handles for Christmas presents. I decided to make these nice servers. The servers are really a great kit that comes from Rockler. They can be used for cake, pies, or pizza. And so I was turning the handles for Christmas presents, but I hadn't been turning for quite a while. And I also hadn't fully set up my grinding station. So one of the things that I did is I tried to hand sharpen my spindle, my roughing spindle gouge. And that didn't come out too well. And so when I turned the blanks down to size, I made some mistakes on doing that, but I was successful, but not real successful. The real problem came later. These kits from Rockler are really nice because they have threads on the tool and an insert that comes for the handle. And so the handle can be screwed onto the tool after it's turned. But that insert is also really great because it fits on a mandrel like this. I'm not going to screw it in all the way, but this part goes in the chuck, and you can turn the handle using this on the chuck rather than between centers. So one of the problems that I had when I was using my roughing gouge, I had some catches. And so when this stopped turning, this got pushed into the tool. This insert got pushed in farther into the tool. And so when I tried to take it off the mandrel later on, it wouldn't come off. And I messed up the threads inside of the handle. So that was the first problem, and it escalated after that. Needless to say, I had some problems with turning that I shouldn't have had, partially because I hadn't been out here in a while, and partially because I didn't wait until I had my grinding station all set up and working correctly before I started turning. Anyway, I did avert the tragedy. I ended up saving 10 handles, and I made those gifts and have passed all those out. This is the one that Pam and I kept for home. In fact, I have one more. I'm not sure if I'm going to give that as a gift or if we'll end up with 2 of them. Well, the biggest tragedy I avoided was here at the computer. I've mentioned this before, that I've had some problems with this Macintosh because it's old. And when I bought it, I had no idea that I was going to be doing all the things that I do with it, and it just wasn't built for that. And the Intel chip that's in it is extremely slow compared to chips today. So what happened is all the files that I'd done for the last month or so disappeared. And so I went back and used my computer's hard drive, the extra hard drive that I have that has all my backup files, and I used that to restore all the files that I'd lost. To recover the files, I went up to my Time Machine external drive and clicked on my Macintosh. From there, I selected a date that I thought the files might be on. I clicked on the drive, had to go down to Users, up to my name, and over to the desktop because that's where the file was. There it is on the desktop. Once I got there, I checked the drive to see if that was the files I was looking for. I checked a little bit in the center, then I went to the first one, and then tried to move down here to the last one. There it is. That was the last one that I remember losing. I went back to the file name and dragged that over to my desktop. Down towards the bottom of the screen, it's showing it's copying 69.11 gigabytes or 446 video clips to my hard drive. Well, if all works out well and Apple introduces their desktop computers with the M1 Max chips in them later on this spring, Pam and I plan to get one. It's something that I really need and want to upgrade anyway. This particular machine is extremely slow compared to modern day computers. And that chip will let me do a lot more on the computer. In fact, it has a way when I'm rendering out and saving a file from the video, it'll also allow me to work on, because it doesn't use the CPU for that. So there's some really neat updates that are coming, I'm hoping. And yeah, as my t-shirt says, I don't do Windows. I've been an Apple guy for many years and I love the Macintosh. So I'm not going to change over. I don't play games, so there's no advantage to having an MS-DOS machine or Windows machine or whatever you want to call them these days. It's still based on the old MS-DOS machines. I'm really looking forward to not seeing this beach ball so often when I'm trying to do something with the computer. A computer upgrade is really needed. By the time you see this video, I've already put out some other videos on my YouTube channel, but I do have some things that are coming up that I'm positive that are going to happen. One, I'm going to talk about this Woodpecker's Auto Line Drill Guide. I bought one. Yes, these are expensive. Yes, there are other ones on the market, but this one is really high quality, and I'll tell you all about it coming up fairly soon after I've used it for a few more projects. A project that's coming up soon is an awl handle. This is the blank that I glued up. It's made out of walnut and quilted maple. Rob over at Make Things had a challenge. He said, I'm making some awl handles, little short stubby awls, because I think they're much easier to use in the workshop than a long awl. And I'm going to challenge you guys to do your own. I'm going to go ahead and take that challenge, and this is the blank that I glued up for that. I'm sure by now you've already noticed there's advertising on my channel. I had no idea there was advertising on my channel until Rob over at Make Things told me. He said, yeah, they've been playing advertisements on your channel for quite a while, and congratulations for being monetized. And I said, I haven't even gone through the process of being monetized on YouTube. So what's going on? So I checked into it, and sure enough, they've been playing advertising on my channel. So I decided I might as well get monetized and get a little bit of that. So I've gone through the process and finally jumped through all the hoops that are necessary between YouTube and Google AdSense, and the channel is now monetized. If I ever pick up any cash, I'll of course put it into the shop and into the equipment that I use to make these videos. Back when I first started this channel, I had no idea you could make money on YouTube. In fact, my first video was advertising someone else's channel and their Facebook page. James King over at King's Fine Woodworking sent out a challenge. He said, whoever makes the best advertisement, short advertisement, for our channel will win one of our medium mallets. I thought, oh, okay, I'll do that. So here it is. Hi there, I'm Don Bullock from WB Fine Woodworking. There's a great group of woodworkers over on Facebook. If they can teach this old dog new tricks, then they might be worth checking out. It's King's Fine Woodworking Community over on Facebook. I'll see you there. Now later on, I did receive one of their medium mallets. I understand that what they did is they had 3 people enter the contest, so they gave all 3 a medium mallet. But I also had this in the box, one of his large mallets. So whether that really means that I won the contest or not, I have no idea. A little dusty there. But I have all 3 of his mallets now because I had bought one of his small ones. But I still had no idea you could make money on a YouTube channel. So this channel has never been about advertising and trying to make money for myself. That was not the goal. My goal was to help woodworkers that are like me, people that have a hobby shop and like to try to make things in their shops. And that's the whole idea behind this channel. And I greatly appreciate all of you out there that have been supporting me. One thing I'm proud about this channel is I've never accepted sponsors, especially those that have approached me with things that I really would never use in the shop. But I'm not opposed to it. If somebody really wants to sponsor me, I'll look at what you have. The closest I've gotten is Frog Blinks when they sent me some scraps. I used the scraps to turn this coffee scoop video. I'm still using the coffee scoop today, and it's a great tool to have in the kitchen. Recently, they did send me another blank, and this is one of their new colors, yellow, and they asked me if I'd do another video, and I told them if I get around to it. So hopefully coming up soon, I'll turn this blank, and I decided because of the colors, it might be appropriate for a honey dipper. So watch for that coming up. Oh, and if you're out in your cold shop and wondering, is Don really in his shop in short sleeve shirt? Yep. It's been in the 70s in Southern California. We've got beautiful weather.